Hey guys, it's Will. So there's been a historic stock market rally today. We've seen the market go from being down over the course of a few weeks to then rocketing up today a huge amount. And one of the things I'm looking at here is RocketLab. There's a lot of different companies we could watch. Obviously the market's up, but take a look at RocketLab. I'm here at the Space Symposium. That's why I have this SpaceX lanyard thing with my name on it for a media pass. And essentially, I'm here in Colorado Springs. I flew out from California and looking at these companies. So the space tech whole market surged. A lot of the stocks had a huge record-breaking day today and then sold off kind of after hours just a little bit. The after-hour sell-off is probably because the tariffs that are still on China, but nevertheless, some of the stocks still up. You can see that RocketLab is up. So let's take a look at RocketLab. Why are we talking about RocketLab specifically today? Well, they've been on a surge over the past few months. So just take a look at RocketLab going back to, basically 2023. This is when I started investing in them around $3 a share. And I have a friend that works at RocketLab who I got to see some of the people at Space Symposium, which is cool. But anyway, I'm seeing that they were on this tremendous trend. They surged to $33 a share. They sold back down. And on the 200-day moving average, slightly bounced. And then today, I think they're up between like 10 and 20%. You start to see this green candlestick. It broke back up into this previous level, this support level. Maybe it's enough to hold. The tariffs right now, and what we're seeing with the change in the markets, it's possible that we have some temporary relief. The way that I see it is if we're going to continue with the plan that we have currently with the US government, that they're going to try and, let's say, bring more manufacturing in the US. That's probably going to mean that the markets might have short-lived rally here, but again, like over the next year or so, I just imagine that we're going to see a little bit more of a sell-off. A lot of the Fed was indicating that a lot of the Fed indicators were showing we weren't in a recession, but we were seeing this bear market indication. And what happens in bear markets? Obviously, it's not straight down. We do have pullbacks. I'm not a bear. I like to trade the bulls, but this is kind of how I'm approaching it right now. So RocketLab is a stock that I still believe is going to be one of the top players. But there's some other companies that are smaller space companies like RDW that we're covering as well that deserve some attention. There's three steps that we go to whenever we're analyzing a stock. So RocketLab here, the first step would be the market. So let's just take the rocket market projections. And it's expected to grow from 61 billion in 2022 to 84 billion 2029. I don't know. That's specifically rocket and missiles. I know SpaceX is already like 200 plus billion market cap, but essentially the market is growing. I mean, especially being at the symposium, I see a lot of new contracts and a lot of reasons why the market will continue to grow. So they're in a market that's growing. One of the things that RocketLab does, it's kind of the second step of our analysis, is the market's fundamentals. RocketLab, some of you guys may be aware, but they're an end-to-end company. So they build all of the little things. Oh, they even say it right here, the end-to-end space company. So I'm pretty sure, you don't have to quote me here, but down to like semiconductors are what they actually create. So they create almost all the tech. They've launched a considerable amount of satellites recently. There's 1,700 rocket satellites on orbit with RocketLab technology, and they have a lot of experience. You can see from idea to orbit, they offer launch services, so dedicated small launch. And they're a company that's cutting edge for a few reasons. The first thing that we see is the satellite side of things. So if you search on RocketLab, you go over to, for example, Knice. They have a ton of satellites. They kind of offer similar to Starlink, where you can get like those connections to phones, but also connections like internets, but also tracking and locating assets from satellites. and they have many satellites that they have up in space, this company, and they are a French company, and most of their launches have come through RocketLab. So RocketLab servicing a lot of different companies to launch their satellites. So just keep that in mind. The other thing about RocketLab that's really interesting is how they have a carbon composite makeup of their rockets. So they don't really focus on the steel, right? So SpaceX, they make their rockets out of steel, whereas Rocket Lab focuses primarily on having materials that are much lighter, like carbon fiber and things like that. So those are kind of things that really make a difference for innovation in a way. I think steel could be great and it's working for SpaceX, but using materials that are lighter and maybe even just as resistant to temperatures, things like that, I think is very interesting. So seeing them use carbon fiber and things like that is very cool. The other thing that they do is you can see some of these launches, and they do launches quite often. That's something that they focus on. So when it comes to Rocket Lab in the financial side of things, RKLB stock, could go check out their financials. They got big investors, BlackRock, definitely have investors like Charles Schwab and Vanguard. Their market cap right now is at 9 billion, which is impressive. I remember when it was just 1 billion actually, or under a billion, I mean. And take a look at their earnings per share as well as their revenue. They have been improving. And just in their last quarter, they beat earnings per share by 18% and revenue by 1.4%. And their revenue is up 120% year over year. Net income still down. Maybe that's because they're investing. But you can see the cash flow increasing. Why? Well, because companies want to launch things and they are using Rocket Lab. Or another thing is Rocket Lab told NASA, because they have many contracts with NASA. They have a lot of different government contracts aside from the commercial side of things. And they had this recent offer for NASA where they said, oh, you're sending this mission to go to Mars and it's going to cost you, I think it was like 15 billion. We could do it for like 4 billion or something like that. It's like way less. And apparently NASA's like in talks with Rocket Lab about expanding the Mars missions that Rocket Lab assists the US government with. So going to Mars. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so financials improving, revenue improving, net income just a tad down there, but overall we're seeing green on the earnings. So the financials are looking pretty good. When you take a look at the chart, it's kind of third step in the analysis, is this trend here. Start to see this trend. If it holds, it's looking very good. This is kind of like the hyper bullish trend. Like what if this holds and we see it do a move like this? Could that happen? It's possible, maybe. I think it's a little bit harder to see it break up above this $22 to $23 price point because this is a previous resistance right here. So you could see, take a look at, let's call this trend line here. There is this previous resistance right here. And it was a previous resistance that's acting as a support, previous support as well. See that support level? So that's kind of the next level that it would have to reach or that it might target next. So that would be up around $24 a share. From current pricing, that's about 20 to 40% increase if we see those levels. So there's some upside. Now, let's see if it holds, how the rest of the market reacts as well, because there's a lot of different space companies right now that we're watching. They're all up today, and the whole market's up today. So it looks nice. It looks good. Let's see, does it really hold this 200-day moving average? Is it something that we could count on and it's going to really hold this and continue up? Well, the indication that it gets to this $23, $24 price point would make a lot of sense. So we'll watch closely. So those are the 3 steps. I'm going to be seeing if we could trade it tomorrow at market open. We do look at space tech, quantum, and AI. If you guys want to be there for our live sessions, we trade each morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you'd like to join, there's a huge sale there that's still going on for a limited time. It's the second link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Fire your thumbs up, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys so much. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. And I'll tell you what, this pass right here, we got to go to CES. We got to go to all these different events, and they're free because of our YouTube channel. I show people our YouTube channel, these companies, and they say, yeah, come for free. Because why? Because of you. Because you guys are here and watching and tuning in. And again, all of the support that you have really does make a difference. And I really do appreciate you all. And at the end of the day, the value that you get from the channel, I hope can also be shared with others. If you like this video, if you find value in the different breakdowns of the tech, the carbon that we were looking at, the makeups of the rockets, the financials, or just the chart outlooks in general, yeah, share them with a friend. That's very helpful as well. Or don't share them with a friend. Still appreciate you all, and we'll be sharing videos with you guys regardless. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.